So here we are again, back with my 2010 Mac Pro. We're going to undergo perhaps the biggest upgrade done yet to this machine, a processor upgrade. Hang on and we shall see if I can actually accomplish this. Step one, of course, opening it up. Now, of course, we will need to remove the tray. Pop that out. Just a moment. And the upgrade. Okay, one might say that I'm cheating on this. What I did was on eBay to buy a dual CPU and RAM tray. This was pulled from a 2012 Mac Pro, which is fundamentally the same computer. They bumped some specs, one of which was the processors. So assuming that when this goes in, it will work, we will be going from one Xeon 2.8 gigahertz quad-core Nehalem processor with 32 gigabytes of RAM to two Xeon 2.4 gigahertz processors, each with 6 cores for a total of 12 cores, and these are Westmere processors. And the total RAM will be 64 gigabytes. It may be a little deceptive. The way that works is you've got 32 gigabytes for each of the two processors. So the four that are in front of you here are for this processor, whereas these four are for the other processor. Now, it is true, the processor tray by itself is twice the cost of the Mac Pro. However, remembering, I only paid $150 for the Mac Pro. So by switching this, I have for in the neighborhood of $450 a 2012 Mac Pro. In essence, although it will still identify the same. And the model identifiers 5, 1 are the same for the two because structurally it's the same machine. All right, now, I think I'm pretty lucky to get this. I will point out when I got this corner right here on the tray where it slides in was rather badly bent. Pliers to the rescue. Fortunately, aluminum bends pretty easily. So we're going to see, first of all, will this actually go into the machine? It's fighting a little bit. Okay, that should do it. It's seated in there. Now, now you're not really going to be able to see this. One other thing that I did here was to reorder the PCIe slots. The graphics card, of course, is in the bottom slot where it has to be. But I have moved the NVMe PCIe solid state drive to the slot right above the graphics card, which I understand may deliver slightly faster speed. Right above that will be the USB 3 card. And right above that, the USB 3.1 USB-C card. Those shouldn't be affected at all by the speed of those particular PCIe slots. So, thing to do now, close it up, put the cover back on, and try booting it up. Let us hope that it does. So it did close up just fine. You see that bent leg down there. Someday maybe I'll try to straighten that out. And now it's plugged in. Will it start? Light came on. That's a good sign. Okay, there's the boot sign. Took quite a while for that to come up, but it did. Now, of course, since we have the metal-supported graphics card in there, allowing us to install Mojave in the first place, we do not see the boot screen. So time will tell us. I don't know if I'd mentioned it. This is not the same monitor that I originally had. And look at what we've got here. Typing one-handed. And here we are on the Mojave desktop. Life is good. All right. We go to About This Mac. Will you look at that? 2 by 2.4 gigahertz 6-core Intel Xeon with 64 gigabyte of RAM. The tray actually came out of the box with 32 4 gig sticks rather than 8 gig sticks. 2 of those were not being read. I did plug it in once before just to make sure that everything was working. I had some momentary concern that something was wrong, but evidently we can see from here everything's showing up when I put in the 8 gig sticks. So there was nothing wrong with the tray. It must have been something specifically with the RAM modules themselves, at least those 2. This can be upgraded if memory serves as far as 128 gigs, 64 in each processor. Whether I will do that or not, we'll see down the road. And the storage. One thing I did differently, see that Macintosh HD there, which I pulled out of a Mac Mini. That Mac Mini is eventually going to have a 512 gigabyte solid state drive and a 500 gig hard drive in it together. So I took the 500 gig out of the Pro, and it had originally come to me with a 1 terabyte hard disk. I put that in here. So we now have a total of 4 gigabytes. What else is there to look at? I'll go back to the overview. Yes, now the 2.4 gigahertz, so we're actually a little slower. I'm going to run Geekbench scores, and I will be back with you with a comparison I am anticipating that the single core score will actually be somewhat lower because we're going from a 2.8 gigahertz processor, one, to two 2.4 gigahertz processors. However, the multi-core score should go up considerably. So, I will be back with you once those have been run. Well, we're back with our Geekbench comparisons here. Over here, we see the CPU score with the single CPU tray in there. A single core score of 512, multi-core 2023, Mac Pro mid 2010, etc., etc. And now, as I thought, down slightly, not significantly, 507 on the single core. But the multi-core score, yes, 4336, that's a little over twice the amount, which makes sense. I thought since we're going from 12 to 4, it might be a little more than that, but that's okay. This I thought was interesting. Geekbench now identifies the machine as a mid-2012 Mac Pro. Now, I ran the GPU scores just for the heck of it. I wasn't expecting a huge difference, and there isn't. 40,595. That was the single tray, and this is the double tray. 40,345. It's a little bit lower. I don't really know why that should be, but it's not enough to be concerned about. All right. So here's the machine in all its glory. What is the future of it? Well, there are still upgrades that can be done. I can take the RAM up. That's very simple to do. It is possible to upgrade the processors. You can go from these 2.4 gigahertz processors up to, I believe, 3.3 gigahertz. It's an involved and much more difficult process, not impossible by a long shot, but more challenging. I may eventually do that just because it's possible to do. I'm sure at some point I will do the RAM. It is possible to go to a more powerful graphics card. I doubt very much that I'm going to do that. I don't have any real reason to. This is plenty powerful enough for me. And I can certainly add more storage. Now, I've got 4 terabytes in there right now. I can't imagine I'm going to start running out of room, but I suppose you never know, particularly since I've been having a lot of fun playing with adding virtual machines, which eat up a tremendous amount of space. VirtualBox is fun, though. So, we're going to see about that. I certainly could add in more. The result, though, is this machine is probably the single most powerful machine in the house now. There is my 2015 27-inch iMac, which is, it's got a 2 terabyte Fusion drive, which is good. There's a Fusion drive that slows a little bit over the SSDs, but it certainly doesn't seem slower. If anything, it's ever so slightly faster than the Mac Pro. You can't touch that screen. Anybody who's used an iMac with a 5K Retina display, it's absolutely astonishing. This screen, now this is Samsung 1080p. It's perfectly good. I suppose I could, with this graphics card, it would drive a 4K display. I don't know that I'm really looking at spending the money, but who knows, I may do that again just because I can. But as I said, when I first started out with this little video series, I have no need for a Mac Pro. I have no real need for a pro-level machine. But I wanted it. I've always wanted it. And that leads us to the question, is this really in what's getting to be now rather late 2019, is this really a pro-level machine? Probably not, although you can still accomplish all of the professional tasks. It'll do video editing, it'll certainly do music editing, and that's probably what I'm going to end up doing for the most part on this machine. Maybe I'll get into videos more, who knows. But this certainly, you know, a semi-pro, or as the saying goes, the prosumer, a consumer who needs to do some pro tasks. This machine certainly is that. And it's gangs of fun to play with. And the result here, as I said, the cost with the new tray of the system in total was about $450. Now I've thrown a lot into it, the new graphics card, new drives, other PCIe cards. With all of that, I'm probably about $1,100 into this machine now. It's a pretty amazing machine for that amount of money. Now the drawbacks. Let's get some of these things out of the way here. They'll all go away. As you can see from that desktop, we're on Mojave. We're restricted to Mojave. That's not too big a deal. Because the DOS Dude 1 patchers, I can put Catalina on there, and my experience in having used that patcher on other machines, it works very, very, very well. So yes, it's going to be able to, and probably for quite a while, still go to, you know, the most recent operating systems. I'm going to leave it on Mojave for now. As far as other drawbacks, the only one really that is of somewhat a concern is that I have been unable to get handoff working in continuity. The only continuity feature that I really make use of a lot is AirDrop. And I've been able to get it to, it says it would support this, the wireless card will support AirDrop. I did put in a USB dongle that would bring it up to USB 4, but I have not been able to get AirDrop to work or any of the continuity features. That's too bad, but we can make it happen there. So yeah, there are situations where you can see this machine beginning to show its age, but it's still a heck of a machine. It is beautiful. You look on the inside, it's beautiful. And I am so happy with this. I certainly hope you've enjoyed seeing it come from having nothing, no hard drive when it came in there. Well, I suppose if there's one other modification I may make, I will probably at some point try to straighten out that bent leg. It's not a big deal. It isn't affecting the functionality of the machine at all. Gives it character, I suppose. All right. Well, thank you very much for having spent some time here, and I hope you've enjoyed this little look into the world of Mac. Bye-bye.